Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday message for June 18th of 2023. So happy Father's Day to all who are fathers or semi-fathers and, uncles, all that kind of stuff that kind of takes on a fatherly position. And what I'm basing my talks on at this time and for the next few weeks come from the book by H. Emily Cady, Lessons in Truth. Now, during this time, I'm going to be quoting some of her writings from time to time. And therefore, I will be using terms like God and He. And we know that God, source, whatever term you want to use, is not a He, but is rather spirit or energy. The word it actually better describes an energetic form. And yet, to keep true to Katie's writings, I'm going to be stating the passages as they were written. So we begin. Matthew 16:24 reads, "Then Jesus told his disciples, 'If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me.'" Throughout the ages, so many people thought that meant to deny themselves all the luxury, all the enjoyment, all the comfort that they had, everything they liked and wanted, and then constantly do everything they didn't like so they could be followers of Jesus. However, that was not what Jesus was talking about. What he was talking about was the aspect of the mind, giving up everything that they believed, in their consciousness. And one of the definitions of deny is to declare untrue, utterly false. So in this case, what Jesus was actually talking about was to deny some of the aspects of our life that's actually not working for us, denying the truth about things like lack, suffering, pain. He was talking about not denying ourselves comfort, joy, the good in life. He was asking us to deny that which wasn't working as a part of our being. And how do we know that that's what he was speaking of? Because in Matthew 6:32, Jesus is quoting as saying, "Your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things." And John 15:11 reads, "It has said these things to you so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete." John 15:16 reads, "The Father will give you whatever you ask him in my name." And John 16:24 and 26 to 27 state, "Ask and you will receive, so that your joy may be complete. I do not say to you that I will ask the Father in your behalf, for the Father himself knows you." So Emily Cady wrote, "We have heard over and over again that God is the total of all the good in the universe. And there is in the mind, which is God, a perpetual desire to pour forth itself, the substance of all good things, through us in divisible form and into our lives. There is a statement, it is the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." And it's a biblical passage that we can change to, "It is the Father's good pleasure to give me the kingdom." Yet so many of us still don't fully believe that. Katie wrote, "Denial is the first practical step toward wiping out of our minds the mistaken beliefs of a lifetime, the beliefs that have made such havoc in our lives." By denial, we mean declaring not to be true a thing that seems true. At one time or another in our lives, we probably heard people say some negative things about us. "You're not pretty, you're not smart, you'll always be a failure, you have no right to blah, blah, blah," whatever. Things that we heard as a child, as a teenager, and even as an adult. And our first step in denying is to deny that any of this is true. Myrtle Fillmore was told throughout her life that she had inherited tuberculosis and that she would be frail and dependent her whole entire life. Then she heard the statement, I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness, which she grabbed onto to heal herself. And we can actually say to ourselves, I am a child of God, and therefore I have all of God within me, which is the actual truth of our being. We have this thought come in and about ourselves that really is not the truth of our being. And we could just say, that's not a truth any longer. That's not true of who I am. And some of the things that we have to understand is that, first of all, there is no absence of life, substance, or intelligence anywhere, which means that we can deny sickness, illness, lack, or even the aspect of thinking that we're dumb or don't understand anything. Another thing that we have to understand is that pain, sickness, poverty, old age, and death, as Katie says, cannot master us, for they are not real. And yes, I understand that we can be in pain, we can have sickness, we can struggle with finances, we can look in the mirror and see ourselves getting older. And we have been around when people have passed. But the death of the body is not the death of the soul. It's not the death of the essence of who we truly are. You know, people can leave the physical body, and then others afterwards can feel their presence around them. So what died? The body, not the being. And yes, we can suffer with pain, sickness, and all of that. But when we begin the denial process and when we begin to get deeper into these studies, we truly come to understand that sickness cannot hold us when we turn our full consciousness to God. Financial lack cannot hold us back, for the one source God is always pouring ideas into us of how to bring greater financial prosperity to ourselves. The last one that Katie writes about is, there is nothing in all the universe for me to fear, for greater is he that is within me than he that is in the world. In the book Lessons in Truth, she asked us to repeat these denials. There is no absence of life, substance, or intelligence anywhere. That pain, sickness, poverty, old age, and death cannot master me, for they are not real. And there is nothing wrong in all the universe for me to fear, for greater is in me, he that is within me than he that is in the world. And she asked us to keep repeating those statements over and over and over again in our times of meditation, challenges, whatever. So they gradually go into our subconscious mind and will start to take root there. The subconscious mind holds the beliefs that we have to be in pain and sorrow and suffering, when in truth, God is asking us to accept all the good that it has to offer us. And once we begin to deny what is no longer true for us, then comes affirmations. And affirmations are merely just statements we make to ourselves to assist our subconscious mind in knowing something different for our lives. Katie wrote, to affirm anything is to assert positively that it is so, even in the face of all contrary evidence. So we may not be able to see how something is going to be, but we just affirm something to be true, and we continue to do it over and over and over again until it actually shows up in our lives. Yet in order to truly and fully make affirmations for our lives, we have to understand a few things. First of all, that God is life, love, intelligence, substance, omnipresence, omniscience, omnipotence, or we could say is present everywhere, complete knowledge of all things, and is all power. So if God is present everywhere, the complete power of all things and full intelligence and wisdom, then nothing else but that is in our life. Nothing else but that abides on this earth plane. And if God is the life of all things and complete love, then in truth, all there is love on the planet. And that's not to say that the other isn't present in our lives, but when we begin to affirm something, it is the presence and power, the love and wisdom of God That is what we are calling forth to have things manifest for us. And the second thing we have to understand is I am a child of God, or manifestation of God, and every movement of his life, love, wisdom, power flow into and through me. I am one with God and am governed by his law. So Katie wrote, remember while repeating this information that nothing, no circumstance, no person or set of persons can come between you and the source of your life, wisdom, or power. Nothing can hinder your having unlimited supply except you're not knowing how to receive it. She goes on, no matter how sick or weak or inefficient you seem to be, take your eyes and thoughts right off the seeming and turn them within to the central fountain and say calmly, quietly, but with steadfast assurance, this appearance of weakness is false. God manifests as life, wisdom, and power, and is now flowing into my entire being and out through me to the external. And she writes that a third statement you can use is, I am spirit, perfect, holy, harmonious. Nothing can hurt me or make me sick or afraid, for spirit is God, and God cannot be sick or hurt or afraid. I manifest my real self through this body now. And finally, she gives us a fourth affirmation that she shared with us, which is, God works in me to will and to do whatever he wishes me to do, and he cannot fail. So whenever we actually fully commit to God, to source, to do and to affirm is done, we will see it accomplished as long as we ourselves hold to that for as long as it takes to get it accomplished. Remember, I shared with you that Myrtle Fillmore made the statement, I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness. But she made that statement for hours on end, over and over and over again. And it took her 2 years to be fully free of malaria and tuberculosis. So if you want a healing, if you want greater financial prosperity, if you want any type of greater good in your life, this is not a one-time or a one-day shot. Whenever your mind shoots in one direction that you don't want, you can deny that as a truth, and you can affirm the truth of what you want in your life. When your mind starts to go down the track of an illness that you may have, you can easily say, that is no longer the truth of my being. In truth, my body is whole, complete, and perfect in all ways. If you feel yourself start to go in fear over your finances, you can say, lack is not a truth in spirit. The fullness of prosperity and abundance is all that God is, and God lives in and through me as prosperity and abundance. Katie wrote, God is always in the process of movement within us, that he may manifest himself, the all good, more fully through us. Our affirming, backed by faith, is the link that connects our conscious human need with his power and supply. And she goes on to write, anyone who has claimed their birthright by affirming their oneness with God knows how free they can be from human planning and error after they have called into operation this marvelous power of affirmation. And she wrote, this power has healed the sick, brought joy in place of mourning, and has literally opened prison doors and bidden the prisoner to go free without the claimants calling on human assistance. It is not necessarily the using of just this form of words that has availed in each individual case. It's the denying of what is not true, and in spite of all contrary evidence, the affirming of good to be all there is, affirming oneness with God's omnipotent power to accomplish even if there are no visible signs of his being present, that has brought about the deliverance. So in combining denials and affirmations, we have to understand that denials have a dissolving tendencies and affirmations have a building tendency, and they give strength and power to what we're affirming. So the bottom line is to deny the appearance of negative events and affirm the good. Deny the feeling of weakness and affirm strength. Deny any undesirable condition and affirm the good that you desire. Mark 11:24 tells us that Jesus said, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. And Katie says to practice these denials and affirmations silently in the street, in the car, when you're awake during the night, anywhere, everywhere. And as she says, they will give you a new and to you a strange mastery over external things and over yourself. If there's ever a moment of doubt, you can affirm, God in me is infinite wisdom. I know just what to do. So I'd like us to take a moment right now and think of something that you would like to change in your life, some illness, lack, challenging relationship, whatever. And you can just deny the truth of that and affirm the real truth of your being. So here's something that you can say. This illness is not the truth of who I am. I am filled with the life and love of God, source, spirit, whichever term you want to use. I am whole, complete, and perfect in body, mind, and spirit. Another one could be, the financial lack I am experiencing is not the truth of my being. God is the true abundant supply in my life. I am filled with all the good of God. You know, the solution to all life's problems, and it doesn't matter what it is, this principle works to free all of us from any undesirable condition and to bring good into our lives. If we will just take up the simple rules and use them faithfully and continuously until they lead us into such a realization of the truth of who we are, beautiful children of God who have all the qualities of God, source, the one in our lives. We are an extension of God on this planet. We are the wholeness of God in physical form. And yet it's up to us to bring that forth into our lives. So using denials of things that present themselves that we truly don't want in our lives, and affirming the truth of our being, whole, complete, and perfect, fully abundant and prosperous, joy-filled relationships, whatever it is that we desire, if we just affirm that and hold that as Myrtle did over and over and over again, we ourselves will see our lives change. So thank you all for joining with me today. Thank you for watching this video. And I wish all of you a beautiful, happy Father's Day and a beautiful week ahead. Namaste, everyone. God bless.